Hold on 1 second. Take it away, Dustin.
Hey, what's going on? I'd like to, first off, thanks to those who are tuning in live. We hope that you're strapping in for a probably about an hour, if I'm honest, maybe a little more. Ryan and I like to get verbose here of recaps of week 14 of the NFL season. As usual, I'd like to thank Annabelle again. I christened her the woman in our introduction graphic that Ryan worked so hard on. I'd like to thank Annabelle once again for that classic introduction. And we hope that you're in the holiday spirit because Ryan and I, we certainly are. The football's getting real, and Christmas is a week from Sunday for those of you who celebrate. So that's a
Yeah.
mind blowing fact. I've still got to finish up some shopping. I got my
Yep.
cards in the mail. Little behind the eight ball, but also the eight ball is moving. I don't know. It's a weird combo.
Yeah. I had to give one of my cats an attitude adjustment, so
Oh man.
that's why I said take over for a second. Ma'am,
Yeah,
ma'am, ma'am.
I vamped a little bit. I'm rusty though. I haven't had to take hosting duties in any form since about 2015. So
Oh
that
my
was a wild
gosh.
ride.
Well, anyway, folks, welcome to No Credentials Required, where you don't need a press pass to talk sports. Presented by Belly Up Sports in association with Godzilla Media. The man to my right is Dustin Henry. I'm Ryan McCarthy. We are your hosts, and we're excited to talk about Week 14 in the NFL because there's a lot going on. But before we do that, of course, as always, I have to plug our social channels, which are right down here. If you're watching live, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at NoCredsREQ, Facebook.com/NoCredsREQ. On YouTube, YouTube.com/@ NoCredsREQ. If you're watching on either YouTube or Facebook right now, smash that like button.
Yeah.
Smash it hard. Oh, no, sorry. Be gentle. It's the holiday season. Be gentle when you're smashing. Smash responsibly. Smash responsibly.
Also on YouTube, hit that bell so you'll get
Ooh.
notified when we go live, right?
Absolutely. That's a good reminder, Dustin. I appreciate this. This is why you're here. I would totally forget.
I can't take, I might not be the point guard, but every once in a while, you pass me the ball, I'll take a shot.
You're the Pippen to my Jordan,
Yeah.
so to speak, or the Ari Curry to my Gretzky. I don't know,
All
or you're the
right.
Gretzky to my Curry. I'm Curry.
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know.
Hey.
On the audio side, if you are listening on the audio side, you can find our home base at Spreaker, but you can also find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, anywhere you podcast. You can find us there. Give us a like. Actually, give us a subscription. Subscribe to the podcast, and also rate and review. 5-star rating is also always preferred. If you leave a review, I might even read it on the air. One quick thing we have to advertise before we get into things. We need to let you know about our Christmas giveaway. Last week, we kind of alluded to it. I would say, but we didn't didn't want to give details until we actually had it set in stone before we agreed that we're going to do this. So let me just show you the graphic. I will take us out of the picture real quick. And I just been informed that entire thing is just completely moot. Oh my god!
I was like, oh boy, but
What a day!
they got time to read it. They got time to read it, so that's a good
Okay,
thing.
so
You could
basically,
see it, but
yeah.
you couldn't hear the spiel. So if you wanna go over that again,
All right,
hey,
let me
this is
go.
live, folks. This is live.
This is live, and this is Anyway, so so again, we're trying to get to 200 subscribers by the end of the calendar year, which is December 31st. We're at 150. We're at 150
Ooh,
subscribers.
man, we're close.
We are 50 subscribers away, with 18 days left in the calendar year. So, folks, we want to do a big favor and give away a gift card to one of our one of our affiliates, which is Invader Coffee, $50 gift card. They give a great coffee. Dustin and I can both attest to it. Here's
Oh
what
yeah.
you're going to do. What you're going to do is go to our YouTube page, which is right down below at No Creds REQ. You're gonna subscribe, and whether it's gonna be on your desktop, your laptop, your mobile device, you're gonna take a screen. You're gonna subscribe. Take a screen capture that you've subscribed. You're gonna go to our social media channels. Again, below Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, whichever. Tag us, and you'll be entered for a $50 gift card to Invader Coffee. So the last day to get your entry in is on December 26th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern time. And what we'll do on the 27th, on the live stream on the 27th, what we'll do is we'll gather up the names, and we'll draw one lucky winner, and you will get yourself a $50 gift card to Invader Coffee.
Oh man, I'm looking forward to that already. It'll be a nice little surprise after Christmas, after everything has settled down. We'll get a little more holiday excitement and cheer. Am I going to create a bunch of alt accounts and subscribe? Who knows?
Who knows? Hey, if you're a winner, you're a winner. As far as I'm concerned, if you're already subscribed, you can enter too. So I just want to give that caveat. If you're already subscribed to the channel, you are more than welcome to show us the proof. We'll put you in the hat or the bowl, and we'll draw if we draw your name, you might win yourself a $50 gift card to Invader Coffee.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I just ordered a box myself because you were talking about the holiday coffees last week, some of the varieties, and I said I got to try that snickerdoodle. So it's on the way.
All right. So let's get to it. Let's get to the NFL and our usual rigmarole, but with a twist because it's week 14, and week 14 we got 5 weeks left in the year, including this past week.
It's mind blowing.
It is mind blowing.
I can't believe it's week 14 already.
The year has gone by so fast. It's crazy. It's crazy.
For those of you out there that play fantasy, for most of leagues, the playoffs start like next week. It's crazy.
I do want to congratulate you on beating my ass this past week in fantasy football in the GNO league.
Yeah,
my team's just been up and down this year. I don't know what's going on.
Mine has too, because I think I'm like 500. So I've been up, I've been down. I don't know. It's a weird year in the NFL as far as fantasy and just some other stuff going on. It's been entertaining, but I wasn't going to bring that up. I wasn't,
That's okay. I figured. I wanted to congratulate you. It'd be me as a gentleman to do that. So
yes, you are a gentleman and a scholar, and the chemical toilet salutes you.
Meanwhile, the Florida Seminole Vesicles are currently in last place in the GNO League.
Oh no!
But that being said, let's move on to the week 14 in the NFL. A pretty topsy-turvy week in the NFL. We're going to start with our biggest upset. Dustin, I have a feeling that we have the same mind on this. So what was your biggest upset this week in the NFL?
Well, in my non-expert opinion, there's really only one pick on the slate this week for the biggest upset, although the Dallas Cowboys had everybody's hearts beating a little faster. But I would say the biggest upset is definitely the Jacksonville Jaguars drubbing the Tennessee Titans, drubbing them. And it's Derrick Henry the Titans were doing well in the first half. Derrick Henry was crushing it in the first half. He had everything. He had everything going, and it looked like, okay, the Titans are going to lean on Derrick Henry. It's going to be a close game, but they're going to pull this one out. And in the second half, I don't know what happened. It seemed like the wheels came off. The Titans had some turnovers. It's just Coach Vrabel, he said, he said we were not able to hang on to the ball in the second half, and it killed us. So
Yeah, and the biggest factor was that the Jacksonville Jaguars held Derrick Henry to a number of yards that I can count on one finger. Two.
and that was in the second half, right?
Rushing yards in the second half.
Yeah. Yeah.
When he
What
had
an
over
adjustment.
100.
What an adjustment.
It's crazy. And not only that, but Trevor Lawrence balled out. Absolutely balled out. Probably had the best game of his career in this game. I mean, other than the win against the Titans a couple weeks ago, or the Titans, the Ravens a couple weeks ago. This is probably his best game to put on his resume, his very abridged resume as an NFL quarterback. And when you listen to these stats and you think, "Oh my goodness, if you say these stats, and you gotta wonder, okay, which quarter? If I ask you which quarterback this was, you'd probably say Jalen Hurts, maybe Patrick Mahomes. No, these stats are crazy. 30 of 42, 368 yards, 3 passing touchdowns, including a couple to Evan Ingram, which his career has been rejuvenated by this game.
Yeah.
And he also had 3 rushes for 7 yards and a touchdown. And this is against a Titans defense, which is not great, but they're good.
They're
good,
not,
they're not great.
Yeah, they're not. Let's see. I'm trying to think of a defense that just is like a revolving door. Oh, my Seahawks. How about it? No, we'll get to that later in the show. But yeah, the Titans are not, like you said, they're not an elite defense, but they're not a bottom feeding defense by any means either. So
no, and this win by the Jaguars puts them a game and a half behind the Tennessee Titans for the AFC South division lead.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. That division, it's going to come down to those two teams because the Texans, they are woefully, they put up a good fight each week, but they are some weeks, I'd say, but they're going for the first pick in the draft. And the Colts, no shot, much like we thought earlier in the year. To their credit, slightly, I think Jeff Saturday has had them playing better than they were. But this is the Jags and Titans division, and just by the eye test, if you had asked me in the beginning of the year, I would have given you the Titans all the way. But you can't argue with what the Jags are doing now. They're still in the hunt, and if this young team continues to mature, then they could be a problem. They could be a problem for the AFC South.
Yeah, and my math sucks. They have a 2-game. They're only got down 2 games. In the division, 2 games because Titans are 7-6, Jaguars are 5-8. So with 4 games to go. Now this is the schedule for Jacksonville for the rest of the season. They got they host the Cowboys next week.
That's going to be a tough game.
That's going to be an interesting game to watch.
Yes, I'm looking forward to that one.
And then on Thursday night, they're at New York. They're at MetLife Stadium, taking on my New York Jets. And then they're at the Texans, and then they finish up the year at home against the Titans. So if they win at least 3 games, you could say that if they win 2 out of those 3 games and the Titans lose 2 out of those 3 games, the AFC South could be decided on the last week of the year.
Oh man, I'm kind of hoping for that because I want some stakes for that game. That would be great.
And this is the Titans schedule. They're at the Chargers on Sunday afternoon. They host the Texans. They host the Cowboys.
Okay.
And then again, they wrap up the year in Jacksonville. And I don't know if the Titans record in Jacksonville, the Titans record in Jacksonville is as bad as the Colts record in Jacksonville has been the last the last decade. But again, this division could come down to the last game of the year.
And breaking down those schedules, I think there's a shot that it could, because I want to say first instinct, give me the Chargers against the Titans next week. I
Yeah.
would say the Chargers. Justin Herbert looks healthier than he has, and it looks like, and they finally got Mike Williams back. They got Keenan Allen back. That Austin Eckler's always tough. He's one of the best players in football at his position. So that's going to be a tough game for the Titans, I think. And
Yeah.
then it'll be interesting to see how the year wraps up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And this Jaguars team's starting to come alive. And who knew that Doug Peterson and Trevor Lawrence would start to become a magical combination?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, especially during the last part of the season. Because if look at the schedule here for the Jaguars, in their last 5, they're 3-2. They beat the Raiders, they beat the Ravens at that comeback win. You could kind of start to feel things coming together. They only lost to the Chiefs by 10.
Yeah, that's a surprising. They hung with them in that game,
Yeah.
and that's one of those tough games to call, because I don't know if it's more of an indictment of the Jags starting to gel. I think that's part of it. The Jags are starting to figure things out, but I also think there's a couple dents in the armor for the Chiefs this year. They are not the impervious juggernaut that they've been in previous years.
No, they're not. They're not. That's for sure. And the previous week against the Lions was a come to Jesus moment. They got absolutely destroyed by the Lions, but then they come back and they traveled to Tennessee and they travel to Nashville and they beat the Titans in Nashville.
Mhm.
And so that sets up the last 4 weeks of the year. I just got a feeling you're going to see an 8-9 Jaguars team take on a 9-8 Titans team in Jacksonville, and that game will decide the division on January 8th.
Oh man, if you predict that, I will take my hat off to you again, sir, because you predicted the snow is on the ground. You said it would change very soon last week, and here
Yep.
we are. And if you predict this Jags Titans game come down to the wire on the last day of the season, I'm going to be a little afraid. I'm not going to want you to say certain things, because it might happen. I don't know. We have to use this power for good.
Yeah, I know, right? With great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah.
So now we're going to move on to our next segment, the biggest disappointment. Dustin, I got myself a pretty big disappointment right now, and that would be the Buccaneers not showing up against the 49ers.
Wow.
People could say, and it was funny, is that Tom Brady he's had a wide range of accomplishments. Let's give it to him. Let's give it to him. I mean, some people would argue he's the greatest of all time, and some people will say, well, he's great, but he's not the greatest. I'm in that second part of the band. I'm that second part of the wagon, where just because you've been here the longest doesn't mean you're the greatest.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yes, statistically you're the greatest, but you've been here the longest.
Yeah.
So, but he goes into San Francisco, where he grew up. He grew up in San Francisco. He went to the 1981 NFC Championship game. He saw the 49ers beat the Cowboys in that game, and then they would go on to win their first of 5 Super Bowls. What was it for?
I can't remember. Let's see. 49ers Super Bowls.
5. It is 5.
Okay.
Yep. So Super Bowl 29 was their it was Super Bowl 29 was their last one. I can't, again, my memory shot today. But you figured Tom Brady's coming home to Northern California. He's going to keep this Buccaneers team within striking distance of the 49ers. And right now the 49ers are, I would dare say, they're in wagon status. That defense just absolutely harassed Tom Brady all game long. They forced 2 interceptions out of him. I think they had a 3rd turnover, and they made his life miserable. Now, granted, he has a very leaky offensive line compared to years past.
Yes.
But this 49ers, the fact that they didn't show up and Todd Bowles looked overwhelmed, this offense looked overwhelmed, this defense was nowhere to be seen. I expected a better game out of the Buccaneers, So that's my biggest disappointment for the week. And there was an interesting photo of one of San Francisco's linebackers, Al Zakir, having his neck right here on Tom Brady, and I just said, and I actually, I think was it Robert Griffin III said, caption this photo. So I wrote, I'm gonna tell my kids was this Undertaker and John Cena. John Cena.
Yeah,
Cena.
I saw
Cena.
that. I saw that. Made me chuckle. And how about, and I forget the player who it was, but how about the set on the player that has Tom Brady sign the ball that he picked
Yep.
off? that's
Yep.
that's that's a baller move right there. And hey, you got to tip your hat to Tom for doing it too. A lot of players might have said, hey, I'm not signing that, but he did. He took it.
Dre Greenlaw. Dre
Yeah,
Greenlaw
yeah.
had the interception, and he went over to
To
he
Brady
just
and
went
had
over
him
and had him
sign.
sign the ball.
Yeah.
Actually, it's funny. He mentioned on his podcast the next day with Jim Grace is it was. Let's see what you say. Says I'm happy he's got the ball. I wish I didn't throw it, but I'm trying to be a good sport because a lot of times I'm not a good sport. I can be a pretty bad sport. In the moment when they get me in the right frame of mind, I'm actually a good sport. So apparently,
Oh, there we go.
even though this was complete laugher of a game, uh, he was still in a decent mood to
Yeah.
do that for Dre Greenlaw. So good for Tom Brady for doing that.
Yeah, and I will say, I have a slight tinge of, I don't know. There's a part of me that wishes that Tom Brady had just stayed retired, because then everyone would remember him for what he was, and man, he could have probably still played 2 years. But I'll tell you, maybe Tom Brady can still play well with the right tools around him, but he's not what he was, in my opinion. And honestly, it's more than understandable. I mean, he's what, 45 years old?
Yeah,
And
we actually share the same month in the same year. We're actually separated by 17 days. He was 17 days before me. So he's
yeah.
40. He is 45.
So he's doing absolutely fine, but it's still, this is kind of, it looks like he might have hung on just a touch too long. And who knows, he could come back next year. There are people who are already saying, "Oh, he's going to go to the 49ers because they don't have." No, I none of that. I think he's going to hang it up this year. I think this has been a tough year for him for a lot of reasons. And this Bucks team, they look they look older, they look slower, and like you said, they seem overwhelmed.
I kind of would like to see him play at least one game, and that game would be the game that they wear their old creamsicle uniforms with
Oh
with the old
yeah.
school Buccaneer on the helmet. I mean, come on.
Yeah, you got to love those. I am ecstatic as a Seahawks fan. They're going to do the old jerseys next year in a
Nice.
few games. So those silver helmets will be back.
Woo.
Um, I do love the Seahawks new uniforms. I say new, they've had them for a while now. And I am one of the few that liked the early 2000s uniforms that they switched to when they joined the NFC from the AFC. But there's a small part of me that I do get nostalgic when I see those old blue uniforms with the silver helmets, the silver pants. I like them.
Yeah. So, Dustin, what was your biggest disappointment for the week?
Well, you know, it's kind of like I almost segued right into it with my bit about the Seahawks uniforms there, because my Seattle Seahawks are my biggest disappointment for the week, specifically the defense and one Geno Smith. Now, you can't argue. Geno's been one of the feel good stories of this season. I've enjoyed watching him play. I've enjoyed watching him prove a lot of people, including myself, wrong. But in this game, he was not crisp. He threw two interceptions, almost had a third. It was a third where he was picked in the end zone, and it was determined that they came down inbound or out of bounds with it.
Yeah.
So I believe it was C.J. Horn. I think almost picked
CJ
him
Horn,
off.
that would have been a second. Yeah.
Yeah, he almost picked him off twice, and he just, they looked out of sorts. But it's not all Geno's fault. I've got to put it on the defense as well. A lot has been made about the improvements that the defense had for that stretch, and it seems to me that they've regressed. They can't stop anybody. You're letting teams. You let the Bucks, who had before that game looked anemic, you let the Bucks score on you, so that the offense has to play from behind and try to score the whole time. The Bucks look like an efficient offense, and we know that they are not this year. And then you have this Carolina Panthers team, which, hey, props to them. Steve Wilkes has got them playing, and he's got them buying in after a tumultuous start to begin the year. They ship out Robbie Anderson. Baker Mayfield doesn't work. Side note, the mustache is not the look for Sam Darnold. Not at all. Have you seen this mustache? It's bad. It's bad.
Is he trying to look like the Brawny Man?
I don't know. You got to look it up. It's not. But anyway, I'm just disappointed in the defense, and it's not like we don't have Quandre Diggs, still a heck of a player. And I really am going to enjoy watching Tariq Woolen play for years to come. There are some people that argue that stat-wise, he should be the defensive player rookie of the year. It's not going to be him. I think it'll be Sauce Gardner. But he has played very well, but they're not getting pressure on the quarterback. They're just not. They're putting too much on the offense, and I was always fearful that Geno was going to turn back into a pumpkin, and it seems to some degree he has. He did throw 3 touchdown passes. Tyler Lockett is an absolute beast. I've loved Tyler Lockett, still do. But the Seahawks, here's the stat that got me the most. I couldn't believe it when old Scott Hansen, I think it was, on Red Zone mentioned it, or maybe I saw it on ESPN somewhere else. The Seahawks are 7-2 in all games except when they play the NFC South. Now, we've gone over the NFC South this year at length. What a division it is, how terrible it is, who's going to win this division. The Seattle Seahawks are 0-4 against the NFC South. The Falcons beat them late. They lost to the Bucks in Germany. They lost to the New Orleans Saints in an offensive shootout where Taysom Hill inexplicably scored like 4 touchdowns that game. And they lost to this Carolina Panthers team. Sorry, Seattle, you were my biggest disappointment. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
Well, that being said, we're actually going to take a quick trip over to the comment section, which is brought to you by intheclutch.com. Great t-shirts, MLS, Major League Baseball Association, Players Association, and Major League Soccer Players Association endorsed. Buy yourself a nice t-shirt. I've got a couple in my wardrobe, although one of those t-shirts may have to go with a certain quarterback becoming kind of irrelevant by the day. But we always, as always, if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, we want to hear your comments during the show. So I'm going to play that beautiful, beautiful harp sound.
Oh, yeah.
Gotta play it. So engage with us during the show. We've noticed we've got some people who have actually stopped by and had give us made some comments so far. The Duke from the Divots and Pivots podcast, he's noting he's referring to the opening bumper.
Yes.
The show us a photo of me at your. It's actually your sister's wedding.
Okay.
Because it was a wreath on one of the windows, and I was like, oh, it looks like one of those votive candles that you see saints praying.
Oh, yeah.
So I decided to do that kind of picture just to goof things up.
Yeah, I remember.
And I always do.
Remember that now. That was good.
Drew Willingham, what's going on, Drew? He says, what's up, fellas? Not much, Drew. You're talking football tonight. Leduc says, have a good show, boys. He also says, if you want to win the giveaway, you have to compete with me. So, hey,
yeah,
Mr. Mallard's in it to win it, my friends. Rod from the Rod Uncensored podcast says, my Patriots are going to make the playoffs. I'm not going to even dignify that with a response. And Andrew Leduc says, my Patriots too. So painful to watch that offense this year. Yeah, not exactly great when you have three men trying to call the offensive plays.
Yeah.
And the last comment we have so far, Steven Reichel from the Combat Deviants podcast and live show, he says it's official. Jalen Hurts is the league MVP to this point. He makes a great point. I think this game against the Giants this past week, where they absolutely just cleaned the floor with them,
Yes. Yes.
that game I think solidified his MVP status.
Yeah, they are the best looking team in the NFL this year. There's a lot of people that think Patrick Mahomes is MVP, but he's had some games where he looks, and I get it. Patrick Mahomes, to his own, he's a victim of his own standards, somewhat. But it also, I mean, they let the Broncos come back and make a game of
Yeah,
that
what's up
game.
with that?
So there's definitely, Patrick Mahomes can't do everything, whereas Jalen Hurts, he just seems to have everything clicking this year. And the Eagles, credit to the Eagles front office, they put the right weapons around him, and they're finally using Miles Sanders. I remember at the beginning of the year, I'm like, they never use Miles Sanders. I don't understand what the deal is, but now they are. They've got a run game. They've got everything going. I feel like they pulled some of the starters out of that game early in the fourth quarter. I mean, the Eagles are humming on all cylinders, and Hurts is a huge reason why.
Yep, I totally agree. Now we're going to move on to our next segment, which is the most notable performance. Dustin, I got to take care of one of my cats who's being cattywampus, so you take it away.
All right. Yeah, I will lead this one. The most notable performance for me is, telling you, he's looking pretty. Brock Purdy of the San Francisco 49ers. Now, some people could argue, oh, the 49ers, this quarterback, he's buoyed by a great defense, a great run game. He's got weapons around him, and that is all true. But his performance in this game was unbelievable. I was surprised at, he threw, there was some stuff coming out of 49ers practice saying, hey, we're really high on Brock Purdy. And after seeing it, you could tell why. He had an 134 passer rating for this game. He completed 76% of his passes. He threw for only 185 pass yards, which is not a mind-blowing total, but he had 2 TDs, and he also added a rush TD. That is not bad at all. People, including myself, said, oh, he's only going to be a game manager. That's all he's going to have to do. And the 185 yards is a low total. I acknowledge that. But like I said, he threw for 2 TDs, added a rush TD on the ground. He completed 76% of his passes against a Bucs defense, which was not like we talked about earlier. They are not an also ran on defense. The Bucs can play some defense now. And to have this rookie quarterback come out, he really showed me something. And the way the 49ers have been talking about him, you thought that maybe they're just trying to pump their guy up, but it seems, just watching it, to my eye, and I'm not a person who breaks down film, I don't know a ton about quarterback play, but he just looked like he had command of the pocket. He had command of the huddle. The game wasn't too big for him. And he really surprised me this week.
Yeah. And that performance, and you know what helps is having good personnel around you.
Yes.
Debo Samuel was carted off the field, but it turns out it's just a high ankle sprain he had. So
it
good news for
worse
49ers fans. It looked worse than that, but good news for 49ers fans. I don't know how long his timetable is for coming back, but having a great run defense, a great offensive plan against this Buccaneers defense, and his dad was in the crowd. When he threw his first touchdown pass, you see his dad in the crowd, bawling, crying, just saying how proud of his son he is. And it's funny, no matter who is at quarterback for the 49ers, they're still going to find a way to win.
Yeah,
and it's mostly because of that running attack.
Yes, and much like his father before him, Kyle Shanahan He can just make a running game appear. It's like this
Yep.
mystical thing within the Shanahan family because I mostly remember Mike Shanahan from his days coaching the Denver Broncos, and the Broncos always had a running game. It didn't matter who was in there. The biggest
No.
example of that, and I'm not saying he wasn't a great running back, but Clinton Portis parlayed massive rushing totals in his years as a Bronco into a big contract with the Washington Redskins, or it was a trade. I think it was a trade for Champ Bailey. That's what it was. And he was never the same runner in Washington. He did well, but not to the degree that he did in Denver. If your last name is Shanahan, you know how to make a running game happen.
I totally agree. Totally agree. And I alluded to him earlier, but my most notable performance was Trevor Lawrence in that Titans game. Again, the stats 30 of 42, 368 yards, 3 passing touchdowns, 3 rushes, 7 yards,
Yeah.
1 touchdown. And what a monumental upset. And again, I think this Jaguars team is going to surprise a lot of people down the stretch.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he's a big reason why. And actually, if you remember last week, I know Dustin, you watch Red Zone just like I do.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
saw him in that game against Detroit where he took a hit, not necessarily a hit, but he was dragged down, and it looked scary
Mhm.
for a bit. It looked very scary. His knee kind of bent backwards. It was right before the half, and then all of a sudden you see him walk out for the second half. And it didn't matter because they were still being destroyed by the Lions. But I think for him to come back really sparked his team, and they kind of know, hey, we've got a guy in our hands. He's going to be the guy
Yeah.
going forward for us. So Trevor Lawrence, and speaking of which,
There he is, the show
speaking of cats,
mascot.
show mascot tag along, who's being a little bit of a butthead before the show, but regardless, he's happy. He's a
He's
happy
our
guy.
guy.
He's our dude.
Yeah.
He's our dude. So before we go into the next 2 segments, I want to take a quick break. We're going to have a word from one of our main affiliates here at No Credentials Required. That's Invader Coffee. Stay tuned. You are watching and listening to No Credentials Required. This episode of No Credentials Required is brought to you by Invader Coffee. For the coffee lover who wants good, quality coffee with no bullshit and no filler, Invader Coffee is an ultra-premium, veteran-owned coffee company proudly delivering only the best coffee your hard-earned money can buy. They aim to only serve the highest quality, organic, air-roasted coffee beans sourced from free trade farms all over the world. They keep things simple. The best coffee at an affordable price in order to provide you with the value you deserve for your morning boost. 100% fair trade, 100% organic coffee beans, 100% air roasted, 100% money back guarantee. Visit invadercoffee.com, enter promo code BELLYUP at checkout, and receive 15% off your order. That's right, folks. 15% off your order using promo code BELLYUP. And again, use our link, which is in the description on our Facebook and YouTube streams. Help the show out and get yourself some great coffee. And again, save yourself a little bit of money.
Oh yeah. And who was that person they hired for the voiceover there? Very, very profesh. Very good.
I heard he's very good looking too. And he's very single and very available too. So we're going to move on to most entertaining game. I'm going to lead off with this one. The most entertaining game in my mind was the Cowboys Texans game. And just watching again, we both watch Red Zone, NFL Red Zone every Sunday.
Yes.
7 hours of commercial-free football, which is a glorious thing. And I'm watching highlights of this Cowboys Texans game, and I'm seeing what the Texans are doing, especially on defense. They're causing turnovers. They're stopping the Cowboys on 4th down. They're doing everything in their power just to frustrate Kellen Moore, Mike McCarthy, no relation, and Dak Prescott, and just almost they were this close to pulling off one of the biggest the biggest upset of the 2022 season.
Oh yeah, I was getting ready with my pen to write that down. It was close.
But it was entertaining in the sense that uh, for anybody who I wouldn't say is a Cowboy hater, but uh, just loves to see the Cowboys fail. Especially in the face of those not fans, but fanatics, the fanatics of the people we dunk on. Um, the Titans gave him a heck of a game.
Oh yeah.
Titans took it to. I know Lovie Smith. I wouldn't say love him or hate him. I think he's pretty universally loved when it comes to the NFL
Yeah. Yeah.
or as a coach. Period. Unless you're a Chicago Bears fan or University of Illinois fan, football fan. But he's the kind of guy you want to root for. Now, I'm hoping that the McNair family is smart that they keep Lovie Smith around for
Yes.
next season as well. You can't have 2 1-year coaches 2
No.
years in a row.
No.
You can't. You
And I
can't
will.
because that just sets back your franchise even further.
Yeah. Yeah. And I will continue to argue that David Culley should not have been let go after
No.
last year. I still don't understand, but I hope they stick with Lovey. I hope for everybody. I hope for his sake. I hope for his coaching staff's sake. I hope for the players because they've got to feel, hey, we just need like a year where we have the same offensive scheme and defensive scheme for a couple of seasons.
Yeah. I think the 2 things that the Texans need the most, they need another wide receiver, and they need better protection up front. They can run the ball. They can run.
Yeah.
They can certainly run the football. It's just a matter of really just being a better pass protection team.
Yep.
But
Yep.
if they get a couple pieces, this team could be something in 2023.
They could, yeah, if they can get. I mean, because they're going to have a high draft pick, no question about it. So it's just that they're probably going to have
They
the
are
first
number 1.
overall.
According to Tickathon.com, they have the number 1 pick.
Yeah. So and I don't see that changing. I don't see another team eclipsing them in their tankathon. But
No.
it all matters what they do with it, I guess.
So right now, according to Tankathon.com, the draft order for the top 10 is this. You got Houston 1, Seattle via Denver 2.
Oh, I'm thrilled about this.
Yeah, I'm sure you are. Number 3, the Bears. Number 4, the Lions via the Rams. Number 5, Philadelphia via New Orleans. Now
That's crazy.
That's crazy. Just to get Chris Olave.
Yeah, they could. Philadelphia could win the Super Bowl and then still have what was
and
it?
Still
Top
have
5 pick?
a possible top 5 pick.
Yeah. Oh man.
And number 6, Arizona. Number 7, Indianapolis. Number 8, the Raiders. Number 9, Carolina. And number 10, Atlanta. Now, here's the funny part. The funny part is Carolina, Atlanta, and Tampa Bay could all switch spots because Atlanta's 10, Carolina's 9, Tampa Bay is projected at 19. This could change within the last 4 weeks of the year.
Oh man, yes, it could.
Especially with the NFC South being the way it is. And again, who wants to win the NFC South? Who wants to win the AFC South? This is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. If you've got South in your division name, it's been a weird year for you.
Absolutely. And Jared joining in, Jared from the one half of the Corner Booth podcast joining in. Love the background boys. Philly heisting the league. Howie Roseman, the mad genius. Yep. And his Padawan learner, Joe Douglas, doing the exact same thing with the Jets.
It's true. It is true.
All right, Dustin, which game was your most entertaining game for this week?
For me, and it's not so much because of the score, it's just because in a weird way, I think I'm starting to kind of fall in love with the Lions a little bit. This team has just become really fun to watch, and I hope that somehow they make the playoffs. Dan Campbell, I have no other way to say it. So, kids, if you're watching, cover your ears. Dan Campbell has brass balls. Dan Campbell, I mean, he's got to have trouble walking around with the set that he has on him because he went he called a fake punt. I think it was on like a 4th and 12. The thing goes for 42 yards.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable. And then Couple drives later, the Lions are driving down the field. He calls an offensive pass play to an eligible tackle to keep
Yes,
the
to
drive
Panay
going.
Sewell. Panay
He
Sewell.
he is he is playing with house money right now. You know that he's just having fun. It was great to see Jameson Williams get his first NFL touchdown and then take
Yep.
a victory lap around the stadium. I am in for this Lions team, and this has been one of the greatest in my recent memory. This has been one of, I mean, their defense was woefully bad. I
Yeah.
still remember the trackathon where DK had to be carted off the field. Neither defense could stop anybody. Points were going up and down the field. It was still one of the most entertaining games.
And you know why he had to be carted off the field?
Yes.
Because he had to poo.
Yes. He said, as he famously tweeted, he said that clench walk wasn't gonna make it. But the Lions defense, don't look now. They have become a much more stalwart unit since that game. And they are playing with passion right now. They are playing with fire. And it was a division rival game. And because the Lions won that game, the Vikings did not clinch the NFC North yet. Russell Crowe once asked, "Are you not entertained?" And my answer is yes, Detroit Lions. I am thoroughly entertained.
Yeah, this is one game next week I'm genuinely scared about. But
Yes.
regarding my New York Jets, but I think it's a winnable game. It's just going to be very scary for a bit. And shameless plug, after this, hop over to the Belly Up Sports YouTube channel. I'll be on Motor City Realist talking this game with Mike, the one of the co-founders of Belly Up Sports, and Zach Mack, who's one of our Detroit enthusiasts. They'll have some bittersweet things to talk about with the Lions win and Cade Cunningham being out for the year for the Detroit Pistons with, I guess he had knee surgery or shin surgery. So he's out for the year. Former number 1 pick, Cade Cunningham, unfortunately out for the year. All right, Dustin, we're going to conclude things. Actually, we're probably going to wrap up things a little bit early tonight. But before we do that, we want to give some love to one of our partners with Godzilla Media, and that would be Mohawk Honda. Folks, there's snow on the ground, especially if in the Capital District. There's snow on the ground. Dustin can confirm. I could put my camera outside. There is snow on the ground. There's more snow coming. That means, you know what that means? You need a vehicle that can handle the snow, and you need to go to our friends at Mohawk Honda, where you will be greeted with a smile and treated with respect. And again, the new inventory is ramping up with pilots, passports, Ridgelines. They all have all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive to get you through that snow. And remember, this is the best time to sell your vehicle. They buy cars, and in some cases, you may be able to sell it for more than you paid for it. It's just another advantage you get from the number 1 volume dealer in the capital region. And as always, Greg Johnson, General Manager Greg Johnson, and his team of sales consultants are always available to help you in the buying process. And Scott Moynihan's back at Mohawk Honda, bringing his 30-plus years of automotive experience with him. Stop in, welcome Scott home. You can also see my guy, Evans Whalen. He got me into a 2016 Honda HR-V, which, hey, it has all-wheel drive. Great for the snow. So, yes, the seasons change, but at Mohawk Honda on Freeman's Bridge Road in Scotia and online at mohawkhonda.com, we always go out of our way to please you. Our last segment for the day, for the night, it's going to be our hottest individual take of the week. Dustin, I'm going to hand it over to you.
All right.
What's your hottest individual take coming away from week 14?
This one's a bit of a scorcher, and it's a journey, and a lot of people aren't going to agree with me, but here it's my platform right now. Ryan's gracious enough to give that to me, so here we go. And maybe it's because I watched the episode of A Football Life of Marcus Allen, where Al Davis bafflingly did not like him, so he didn't use him, and he would refuse to run the ball, or he always tried to replace him. I got a little bit of an opposite. There's the polar opposite going on in Dallas right now. My take is that the Dallas Cowboys continued insistence, probably at the behest of Jerry Jones, to rely on Zeke Elliott is going to come back to bite them in the playoffs. I watched a sequence, and Zeke has looked a little better as of late than he did to start the season, and they are including Tony Pollard more. and I
Yeah.
just think he's the more electric runner. But I saw a sequence of events where the Cowboys tried to use Zeke Elliott 3 consecutive times on the goal line to score, and the Texans stymied them. And one of them
Yep.
was a fourth down. They couldn't
Yep.
get it past the Texans, and it almost ended up costing the Cowboys that game. Now they did manage to score late and pull it out, but mark my words, it's the opposite of how Raiders owner Al Davis felt about Marcus Allen, rumored. Jerry Jones loves him some Zeke Elliott and gave him that massive contract. And I think part of it might be, and I'm going on a journey. Part of it might be Jerry Jones does not want to admit that he made a mistake, so he will implore the coaching staff and everybody else to use Zeke Elliott as much as possible, even as Tony Pollard is sitting there and like just to the eye test looks like the better running back. And this is not meant as a slight against Zeke, but mark my words, they are going to go to Zeke in a situation where they need to score, and it will come back to bite them in the playoffs.
I agree. I agree with that. And this newfound revelation from Mike McCarthy, again, no relation, and Kellen Moore to start running the ball more, having a two-headed running attack with Pollard and Zeke in the lineup.
Yeah.
It paid off. It's paying off,
Mhm,
and they're
mhm.
not relying on Dak Prescott as much. But as you said, Dustin, with this over reliance on Zeke because you're paying him a lot of money, his cap hit is terrible,
Yes. Yes.
terrible. And I'm gonna look at Spot Track right now. I'm gonna look at his contract, but yeah, you could be right. This could come back to haunt them. It didn't so much last year. Their over reliance on Dak Prescott cost them
Mhm.
a playoff game last year when the 49ers rudely knocked them out
Yeah.
of the playoffs in the wild card round. And actually, if I'm looking at Spot Track right now, I'm looking at Zeke Elliott's contract. They actually have an out for in 2023. So after this season, they
Okay.
have an out, but it'll cost them 11.86 $11.86 million in dead cap.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, the buyout would be astronomical. So if you're Jerry Jones and you're saying, okay, I'm going to be paying a guy who's going to be 28 years old next year, and running backs have a different shelf life in the NFL than
They
other
do.
positions do.
Especially when you run the way that Zeke does. Nobody questions
Yeah,
his toughness. He
no,
gets up in there, he takes a bunch of hits, but that's a harder style to run.
it is a harder style to run. If you're Jerry Jones, you got to be asking yourself, what am I going to do at the end of this year? Am I going to keep paying Zeke Elliott 10? Am I going to pay him 10 million? 10. This is his contract for the next 4 seasons. 10.9 million, 10 million, 15.4 million, $16.6 million, and by 2026, he'll be 31 years old.
Mm.
And for running backs in the NFL age different than any other position in this league.
They do.
So I think they're gonna have to do one of two things. Either they're gonna have to let him go and have that $11.8 million cap space, or they have to try to find a way to restructure his contract so they can either keep additional parts or try to bring in free agents to try to make it palpable or palatable for free agents to be brought in for 2023.
Yeah.
Because you
Yeah.
got his contract and Dak Prescott's contract are the two biggest contracts on this team. They make up, oh my gosh, I can't tell you how much they make up because Dak's beginning what, 10 million this year? Wait,
I
40,
think
I'm
so.
sorry, 40 million?
Man, yeah, that's a lot tied up in two players.
Yeah.
And I saw today that they signed T.Y. Hilton, so we'll have to see what he has left in the tank.
Now, yeah, Dak Prescott's getting 20 mil this year.
Wow.
And yeah, it's having your salary cap wrapped up in two guys
Yeah.
is not tenable. Not
No,
tenable in
and
today's
it'd be
NFL.
different. It'd be different if Zeke was 25 years old. or
Yeah.
24, something like that. It'd be a little better, but man, that's a lot of cheddar in two mice. Tell you that.
Now, that is for sure. Now, for my hottest individual take from this week, and Dustin, I'm going to do a callback. I'm going to do a callback before the season began, and
Let me pick up the phone.
yeah, and I remember a certain second chair noting that the Carolina Panthers would be a wild card in this year's playoffs.
I did, but there's a large caveat. I said that Baker Mayfield was going to come out with that few energy. That didn't work.
No, it did not. That came back to backfire and hit them in the butt.
Yeah,
However, judging from this past week's game, where the Carolina Panthers ran for over 200 yards ran for 200 yards in the ground,
they did. Yes.
and had of all quarterbacks, Sam Darnold
Hmm.
leading him to a victory. My hottest takeaway individual take from this week: the Carolina Panthers are going to win the NFC South.
I think it could happen. I think I'll put on my oven mitts and I will take this take out of the oven with you. This I agree.
Because no, well, A, somebody's got to win this division.
Yeah.
B, I'm looking at the schedule, and there are 3 winnable games on this schedule. Next week, they're at home against the Steelers. I think it's a very winnable game I think this is a very winnable game.
It's
The
true.
Steelers defense is tough, I know, but you don't know what the status of Kenny Pickett is because
Yeah,
he was
and
in concussion protocol last week, and Mitch Trubisky is, well, he's Mitch Trubisky.
yeah. Yeah.
But again, I'm looking at the Steelers defense, and they're always going to keep the Steelers in games. It was evident last week. It was evident the week before.
Mhm.
They're going to keep them in games. But they've also played the Lions the next week. They actually host the Lions next week. So the next 2 games, Carolina's at home. They have a back-to-back home games against the Steelers and against the Lions. The Lions, it depends on what's going to happen next week against the Jets to see if they can keep up that momentum. But I think that is probably a game they lose. Now, the last 2 weeks of the year, they're at division opponents. They're at the Buccaneers, who we know they are not the Buccaneers of 2 years ago. Heck, they're not even the Buccaneers team of last year.
Yeah.
That's a winnable game. And then they're at New Orleans in the season finale. They are at New Orleans. That is certainly a winnable game as well.
Yeah.
I think I see Carolina going 3-1. They will finish atop the division at 9-9, and they will host a playoff game.
Wow. Wow. Keep pounding. A lot of those Panthers fans, they agree with you. No,
and to think Sam Darnold, who was traded away for, I think, a 4th and a 2nd. I mean, Joe Douglas absolutely fleeced the Panthers in this in that trade. He could be a playoff quarterback.
He might be.
Nobody saw that coming.
No. And you know what? For all that, a lot of people have said a lot of things about Sam Darnold, but you know what Sam Darnold has done in I think, was this his second start of the year?
This is the second start of the year.
His
first start was last week.
He is relying on his stars. He is throwing the ball to DJ Moore a lot more. And you know what? Pun intended. But when you get your best player involved like that, good things are going to happen, And also, maybe Sam Darnold, he's still a relatively young guy. Correct me if I'm wrong. I can't remember his age, but I don't think he's up there because he came out of college relatively early, didn't he? So
yep, he is 25 years old.
Yeah, see, he still, maybe he learned. Maybe, I mean, not to use an example, this example does not mean quite what it did in the beginning of the season. But look at what happened with Geno. All of a sudden, Geno's playing well, and maybe he learned a few things, and in his years around the league and getting to sit behind different guys. Maybe Sam Darnold is a similar situation. Maybe
Well,
in a situation where the pressure's kind of off a little bit because Baker got the starting job going in. Sam Darnold figured, I'm just going to learn more, bide my time, and I'll be ready when my opportunity comes. Who knows?
well, the two things that the Panthers are doing that the Jets couldn't do with Sam Darnold: A, they're protecting him better. B, they're working on it with his strengths, which is usually rolling out of the pocket on a play action.
Mm-hmm.
And C, they have a run game to support him. They
Yeah,
didn't
you
have
need
that in New
those.
York
No.
at all. At all. So Sam Donald could be a playoff quarterback. Could have been that way with the Jets, but now it's the Panthers. And congratulations to him. You know, I was the most hopeful Jets fan when they drafted Darnold that he could be a great quarterback with the Jets. Unfortunately, it didn't turn out to be that way. And right now, Joe Douglas is kind of swinging and missing with Zach Wilson. We don't know what he's going to be.
Yeah.
But now he's with Carolina, and he's got his and also he's healthy. You know,
Yeah.
knock on wood.
Yeah.
But he's been kept off he's been off the field for so long because of injuries that you can't play enough when you're hurt. So
can't get the reps.
You can't get the reps. Now I'm looking at we also got to come into account that looking at Tampa Bay's schedule. They're at home against the Bengals. That's an L.
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
an L.
I mean, the Bengals are looking like they could represent the AFC in the Super Bowl right now. So.
And they play Christmas night against the. Oh my God! All right, so we're getting two coals in our stockings on Christmas Day. First, you have the Broncos and the Rams.
Oh man!
And then you have the Panthers, the Buccaneers, and the Cardinals.
Oh,
and nobody predicted how bad these four teams would be
no.
at the beginning of the year when they made these schedules.
Yeah, looking at these on paper at the beginning of the year, they're thinking, "Oh, we got some tasty matchups in here." Oh my God! And then, if you try to ring me on Christmas Day or whatever, I'm gonna be asleep because it's the Broncos, and I've fallen asleep during every single one of the Broncos' primetime games.
Well, I mean, the saving grace is Green Bay against Miami at 1. So
yeah, that should
at
be
least
a good,
we have
that.
that.
Be a
But
good one.
but anyway, so Tampa Bay they're at home against the Bengals. That's an L. They're at the Cardinals. That's a W. Then they host the Panthers. I think that's an L. And then you got the Falcons. And they're at the Falcons, which again is another team that could be in the NFC South picture.
They're still in the mix.
And here's the thing: the Buccaneers have already lost once to the Panthers this year.
Yeah.
So if Carolina sweeps the series, they both have 9-9 records at the end of the year. Carolina
gets the tiebreaker. Yeah. Oh man.
And
this could be some spicy football over the next few weeks.
My buddy Waz El Jefe joined the chat. Hey guys, hey Wise, what's going on, bud? Thanks for joining us. No credentials required. So, my Rangers pulled off a nice victory last night. We're not gonna talk about that, Wise. No, hats off to your Rangers. The Devils should have played better, and they're missing it. They're missing Nathan Bastian right now. So, hopefully after the NFL season ends, we can get into more hockey. Dustin, I know your Oilers are kind of let's see. I know my Devils are who the Devils are. They've lost. Unfortunately, they're winless in the last two. But look at the standings.
Yeah, they're still they've
fourth place in the Pacific. Not too bad.
Yeah, it was funny. I saw something. I think it was the New Jersey Devils. They tweeted something, first to 20 W's, and then they had their records circled, and then they crossed out the Bruins in red and just said, "Don't look." That was pretty funny.
I gotta say, even though they've been complete crap the last decade, their social media team they're on the ball. But this year, especially, they're especially spicy this year because of the fact that they're doing so well.
Yeah, that always helps. Meanwhile, my Edmonton Oilers are 16-13. They're not really crushing it, but they're not doing horrible either. We're gonna have to see how everything else shakes out.
Yeah, and we're actually we're in the talking phases right now with the belly up hockey room. We're gonna try to do we're tentatively scheduling a super duper live show or super show right before All-Star break. So
Oh
uh,
wow.
keep
Okay.
it here for more news. Keep it your eye on the Twitter channel for Belly Up Hockey, which is I believe it's at Belly Up Hockey, and also watch our accounts for Belly Up Hockey as well. So keep that in mind. We'll have some talk about hockey, have some fun, give out some awards, and just have some fun talking hockey for about an hour and a half or so.
Oh, sounds good.
All
Sounds
right.
good. Fun time.
All right, we're gonna wrap things up here a little bit early. Again, I gotta make an appearance with Motor City Realists in a couple minutes, so hop over to the Belly Up Sports YouTube channel and watch his handsome face live talking about the Jets and the Lions this week.
Nice.
And as always, on our social media, follow us on social media on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at NoCredsREQ. Don't forget about our contest. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Take a picture that it's showing proof. Tag us on social media. You'll be entered in the contest for that $50 Invader gift card. We're at 150 subscribers right now for YouTube. We're trying to get to 200 by the end of the year, and you can win you can win yourself a nice prize if you made in that contest. So tag us on social media. All the social medias are down here below: Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at NoCredsREQ, Facebook.com/NoCredsREQ, YouTube.com/at NoCredsREQ. If you're watching on Facebook and on YouTube, smash that like button. Do it now or do it in the replay. If you're watching on replay, we appreciate you smashing that like button and hit the notification bell too.
Yeah, what the hell? Ring that bell.
Ring that bell. What the hell? And for the audio listeners on the podcast side, Spreaker's our home base. But you can also listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, anywhere, excuse me, anywhere. Oh my God, I can't talk. Anywhere podcasts are found, you can subscribe to North Country as required. And also, if you could rate and review, 5 stars is always the preferred rating. And if you can review, whether it be on Apple Podcasts, Podchaser, any podcast platform where you can review, leave a review. I might even read it on the air. And Wise has already said he's following on Instagram. Appreciate that, Wise. And that's about it for tonight's show. Dustin, anything else to add before we get out of here?
No, I don't think so. As always, it's been a pleasure doing this episode with you. I look forward to it. Look forward to the drawing for the gift card on the 27th.
Yep.
Happy holidays to everybody out there. Whatever you celebrate, I hope it's a great and happy holidays. Get ready for some fun football over the next few weeks. And
4 weeks to go.
Give me a shout on Twitter or Instagram at LDusto67.
Yeah, and I'm at my Twitter and Instagram, pretty much universal for all social media platforms, is at WhoIsRyanMCC. So give us a follow. We might make you laugh. We'll mostly make you laugh. So thanks for watching. If you're watching on live or on the replay, thanks for watching. No Credentials Required. If you're listening, thanks for listening to No Credentials Required, where you don't need a press pass to talk sports. We are proudly presented by Belly Up Sports in association with Godzilla Media in the capital region. For Dustin Henry, I'm Ryan McCarthy. Thanks again, and we'll talk to you again next week.
Good night, everybody.